So this is a video I've been meaning to do for at least a year now. It's just that I kind of never got around to it because shit kept coming up. And since the sequel is going to drop in like 3 fucking days, if now's not the best time, it's just as good a time as any. If you don't give a shit about Agony or my opinions on the matter, feel free to grab a drink on your way out the door. But for those that do, if you've caught my streams on the sequel's demos, you probably already know what I'm going to say, but I feel it's proper to otherwise immortalize it in at least the ways I did my previous thoughts. Enjoy this Ono Skellies as recompense. I run my channel on a specific concept for how I'll examine games, and that's tough, but fair. Certain leeways are given based on experience, budget, time, and cost, but otherwise, if you charge money for it, I'm going to come at you with everything I've got, and will offer no quarter outside of what is really considered gentlemanly to do. But I'm human. I'm prone to knee-jerk reactions, coloring my videos with my frustrations, or otherwise taking things at face value that I know better than to take as such. These problems leak into the videos, and I end up making what can otherwise be considered massive mistakes, saying shit that just isn't fair to the devs, or otherwise misses something in the grand scheme. My original video on the original release of Agony mostly stands true today. It was a scuffed release. By jumping into bed with the publisher thinking it will help their game get better, it only ended up killing it. The publishers turned around and wanted it to be rated for wider distribution and accessibility. Then came the rush for release, you know, all that shit that happens when indie devs with a Kickstarter jump into bed with a publisher. Which they should have known better, right? Of course, for names like EA, Acta, Blizzard, Ubisoft, if the publisher isn't Devolver Digital, it's pretty common knowledge what they do to passion projects. But is it? I mean, sure, for guys like me who are constantly examining and evaluating not just the products but the state of the industry, and for people who play a shitload of games, it's pretty easy to see how publishers tend to fuck devs. But as time passed, something occurred to me. Madmind is Polish. No, I don't mean that it just occurred to me that they're Polish. I already fucking knew that, but I mean they're Polish. They're a Polish independent dev studio. Every problem with publishers I just mentioned is really highly Amerocentric, even considering Ubisoft is French. Very few countries see the problems of the big 3 I named, or publishers just have an otherwise different relationship with studios. While it's easy to say you should have fucking known a publisher would fuck your vision, it's also easy to forget how they wouldn't have foreseen that happening. And for the most part, that's what I hadn't considered, at least for the original release. Look, there's not much good I can say for the original release. Most of what I said still stands to this day. It's absolutely scuffed, but at least they tried to make good on it, which I specifically say because in my video for the unrated version, I did something kind of fucked up. Transition! Yes, I admonished them for attempting to fix their game. To this day, I still don't know why I did it, and I still don't know how I didn't catch what I was doing. And not only is it unfair, it's frankly out of line. 5 months after the scuffed release of the game, they put out the proper definitive version. What's better, if you owned Agony, you got unrated for free. On Steam. I played vanilla on PS4. That was dumb of me. And this is just where I kind of have to say it. Dear Madmind, I'm sorry. I fucked up. I said a lot of shit that wasn't fair to you, what you had done, and what you had accomplished, or specifically, the game. I still harbor some frustrations with the game's design, but otherwise, you pulled the game out of the ashes of a complete screwjob, and did right by your backers and your audience. That guy, he didn't recognize that for the thing that it was. He's a fucking retard. He's an asshole. And oh yeah, he's me. So there's that. We good? I hope so. Look, if Unrated was truly as bad as I let my frustrations make it out to be, I wouldn't have played through it 10 times since. I made a mistake. My first time playing Breath of the Wild, I went in expecting the next 3D Zelda, and tempered my entire mindset playing it around that. But that's not what they made, and thus it wasn't until my second playthrough that I was able to really absorb and enjoy what they had made. That's kind of what happened with Unrated. Just take a look at this. Industry vets, previously worked on AAA titles. I took all of that at face value when I knew better and shouldn't have. Look at those games they worked on. They could have been Coffee Boys. They could have been the guy who did the lighting engine and nothing else. I took this as a statement of expertise, when I guess I really should have taken it as a statement of passion. Because they are invested in what they make no mistake about that. They could have taken my money and ran, but they had other ideas in the pipeline and knew their reputation and customer base were far more important than just moving on to whatever the next thing was. So they sat down, fixed their game, improved pretty much every goddamn thing, and gave it out for free to those whom they could. And it's great. It really is really fucking great. Sometimes game as a product review side Necro gets in the way of just sitting back and being able to enjoy things. Agony Unrated is fun, but not in the way you would normally take games. They fixed the most heinously awful portions of the games and its worst puzzles, but it didn't really lower the tedium in some areas. You have to do more tweaking than I think you should have to in order to get the settings right to get something that doesn't look like it's covered in body glitter, and to this day, Baphomet still looks janky and just all around al dente, but this isn't... I don't know. The fun of the game comes from experiencing some massive art gallery of terror and madness they've made. It's practically a lengthy series of heavy metal album covers, and it's got interactivity. Sure, it's not great or otherwise engaging interactivity, but there's small things to do mixed with grand things to see. There's shit I've come to love about the game even outside of its unrepentant naughtiness. Things like perpetually masturbating Randy, or Colonel Jenkins, the senior citizen baby, or the greatest Showa-era film ever, Mothra vs. Super Chort. Who could forget, right there at the Chaos Gate, poor hangry Chort, who's just stomping around all grumpy-like because dinner isn't ready yet. There is so much that they fixed and to love with memorable moments and characters in the unrated version. I mean, come the fuck on! We finally have a game where dudes are just moseying about their business, hanging dong all up and down the place. How the fuck am I gonna hate that shit? I don't think Agony will ever truly be anyone's favorite game, but it's definitely worth far more of your time and attention than I initially gave it all credit for. It's like a diamond that's been mugged by other diamonds. It's janky, and there's scars from the first outing that won't ever heal, but it's not ugly. Sure, some things look a little sillier, but they're small. Sure, its interactivity is pretty bland for most of it, but that's actually a step up from the heinous, torturous tedium of the vanilla release. Sure, the sigil doors will never be good. Stand here, hold button while you quote-unquote memorize a rune. Nope, wrong rune, try one of the other 12. But it's something of pure kick-assness that they actually incorporated the Ars Goetia. The mythology, history of religion itself, and maddening designs, whether good or ill, are creatively integrated even when they don't quite work out. The ambience is fucking great. Fuck Necro from 3 years ago. And shit, I don't know what else to put here. This thing was designed to be different from the start, and I had no real structure going in, just needed to say some shit that has needed to be said for a long time now. So, why don't we recap? To Madmind, I'm sorry. I fucked up. To viewers, yeah. That guy fucked up. To the future, hey Necro, quit fucking up, why don't ya? And to your whore mothers, call me baby. The end. Please go away now.